Greetings. This is Latin Deus, General of the Armies. This is a communique for Vladimir Putin, Kim Jong-un, Xi Jinping, Prime Minister Modi. I'm not. My list of names needs updating. There's new people. I don't remember the names. NATO's dictator, UN's 3 dictators. Well, I'm not ready. And finally, just abroad, to whom it concerns, that is at the interface of a war games system that can take part in a war games scenario we have actually entered into. Not necessarily everyone, but the people who can meet the scenario, which we're at now here. We have some sort of joint nuclear exercises between the U.S. and their coalitions of conflation or something, while Russia has said it's drilling its special only as often as it's this exact drill. They have this drill. It's a nuclear drill. So here I am, part of the chain of command of communism, because I am a member of a military chain of command that is a full communism enabled military, passing along the logic of the situation, of the words of communism, of chain of command communications, with the words now being filled in so that the idea they are themselves are the orders. I order that I do not. I just put the words in order, and the orders are as the words mean. With what is on the table, we have all these wars, we have these standing threats, we have the Cold War up to max. Cold War can't come back down. All this Cold War stuff happened. With war going on, we have all these war maneuvers going on, and these war games, and these training whatevers, what's today's called, joint exercise drills, and all these threats. Everyone needs to drill, and some of the people say, if you drill, we've threatened you, we'll do stuff over it, like the threat, we'll threat again or something. Well, this is a big one. This is the everybody in. I'm not sure where the button is. If you're going to try to pretend this isn't going to happen through today's exercises, or the series of exercises of not only the West but the East running nuclear drills all at once, as the media has presented, but this is all in. Everybody that's a nuclear power is going to have to take part in this drill. This drill has started, so with the implications of the nuclear strikes at the ready on the table, in the basic terms of they're there, they're waiting, and they're going to happen if what happens that causes them does. You all now doing your exercises have to run the full course of every nuclear power takes part in the exercise, at least in a war games capability. I order Kim Jong-un to somehow defensively strike. There's some standing threat that Kim Jong-un doesn't get to nuclear tests. So my scenario for the drill is Kim Jong-un nuclear tests. In a way, he actually gets to do the USA crazies and does a nuclear blast test, blows up a nuclear weapon. I don't know. I'm not the communist dictator of there, but I am the dictator of the words that I communicate. So he has to somehow do some sort of actual full fair nuclear defensive strike. It's taking place while Vladimir's system of winning, or his special Ukraine loss, and then the scenario that pushes him to it is today is Vladimir's. He's lost the Ukraine war day, while his automation confirms and has to nuclear strike, and then this thing isn't going to end until a full Sarmat deployment of Satan and Satan 2 strikes, while as the war loss occurs, causing the guaranteed nuclear strike, bringing up North Korea's defensive nuclear strike, because that strike has to occur. That's the automation strike. The UK is struck, as is on the table. There's some sort of Poseidon strike that goes with. There's some condition. We're just going to hit everything and everyone and all of it when you hit the States. UK has struck. North Korea has to strike because of the threats of the West about how South Korea is going to go crazy in a blood orgy and bring all the violence the West can, as the whole West does, until they all die. Maybe, I don't know, one exposure's worth of death, how they're not at the immediate death zone of whatever it is. And then all the other stuff on the planet has to do something because this stuff has happened. And then let's see, China has a lot of standing threats. So then China, because North Korea defends themselves in the way that strikes China, strikes the USA because their stuff is pointing there. And it's just always a place to strike in these things. And they're just the ones with all the stuff pointed in the Looney Tunes fashion, saying when that happens, it does that. So then that happens. And then the USA is nothing these days, but they'll be the leader of all the crazy Western blood orgy violence to the end of their existence, to be the maximum violence. Now everything has gone crazy and they've turned into whatever term is supposed to be right for this not standing threat, but basically genetic guarantee of what they are. And I don't know. I haven't thought this out too long. Everything popped up. I knew the pieces: Russia, Korea, China, who to blast off the planet. I don't know what UK is gonna do. And then I guess there's a few more standard things beyond the standing Mexican-like standoff, but the real deal. Everybody just sort of found their way into the middle of a field they can't get out of at sunset. They don't want to set the motion lights off of. When they try to get out of it, well, they're in a spot where it doesn't set them off, and there's no way to get out of it without triggering the motion sensors. And some theoretical talk of all the defenses are pointing at all the crazy code-offending sequences. That means they have to strike no matter what to stop it. And then all this madness goes down, and Russia has to do a bunch of this other stuff. It created the weapons for. Russia has to begin to control its border fiasco situation, and it just has to behave like some stuff is. And then Russia has to behave as if NATO has struck them right at the border, as they're setting up to do by bringing allies into their alliance at the border to be the strike mechanism. And then that starts up the NATO strikes against the NATO, and UN has to be struck. And then there's everyone that sent weapons that have to be struck. And then there's everything that created the weapons that has to be destroyed, and all the weapons have to be destroyed, and all the ordnance of certain types has to be used. And every time a certain type of weapon is used, other weapons, the type of these new systems, have to be used, and on and on and on. And have fun with your nuclear drills. It's IBS just strikes, in theory mostly. This is theory strike. I actually want to be the real deal. NBC that just started up. And put me in my Cyclops scenario, maybe. With me just living in the Cyclops attack, I-beam, whatever.